Karoline Leavitt's prayer before addressing the press in the White House briefing room has become one of the most talked about moments of her tenure. As the cameras captured the often chaotic hustle and bustle of White House press briefings, Leavitt took a quiet moment in a hallway to pray with her colleagues before stepping into the storm of questions. This simple yet profound act not only underscored her personal faith, but also highlighted the deeply human side of a role that is often marked by high pressure, intense scrutiny, and political maneuvering. The power of prayer in public life. The public has always had an interest in the private lives of public figures, but Leavitt's openness about her faith in God drew attention for reasons both positive and controversial. For some, her prayer became a symbol of hope and a reminder of the importance of faith in navigating tough times. For others, it sparked debates on the separation of church and state, especially in a highly secular political climate. Despite the mixed reactions, Leavitt's decision to pray openly was a bold one, acknowledging the weight of her responsibilities. The video, which circulated widely, showed her standing solemnly with her eyes closed, her hands clasped, and her words directed not at the press but at a higher power. It was an intimate, vulnerable moment in the midst of the daily grind of political communication. Strength in the face of adversity. In interviews after the incident, Leavitt explained that the decision to pray wasn't about seeking approval or creating a spectacle. Rather, it was a deeply personal act that helped center her before facing the press. "I turned to God for strength," she said in an interview with the Washington Post, "because sometimes the challenges of this job feel bigger than me. And in those moments, I need to remind myself that I'm not alone." For Leavitt, faith had always been an integral part of her life. She had grown up in a devout Catholic family where prayer was a constant part of daily routines. As a child, she would pray with her family before meals and before going to bed, learning the importance of finding strength in something greater than oneself. It was this same faith that she leaned on as she transitioned into her role at the White House. Her prayer was seen as a symbol of resilience, a reflection of her strength in navigating the high-stakes environment of Washington, D.C. The White House press briefing room is notoriously filled with reporters seeking answers to tough questions, often holding the administration accountable for its actions. For someone like Leavitt, who came into the role with a reputation for being assertive and direct, the pressure to perform at such a high level could easily overwhelm anyone. Many political commentators and conservative figures were quick to praise Leavitt's faith-driven decision. Some even likened it to a moment of spiritual grounding in a profession that could sometimes feel detached from morality and empathy. In a town that thrives on power and politics, Karoline's moment of prayer was a reminder that at the heart of it all, she is still a person, said one conservative commentator. Challenging norms. Leavitt's act of praying before facing reporters was also seen as an act of defiance against the often rigid and impersonal norms of Washington politics. In an environment where public figures are often criticized for showing too much vulnerability, Leavitt's openness about her faith offered a stark contrast to the usual portrayals of political figures as disconnected or overly scripted. It was, in a sense, a return to authenticity, a moment where Leavitt chose to prioritize her spiritual well-being over the pressures of the political world. She seemed to suggest that it was possible to be both a committed servant of the public and a person grounded in faith, without needing to compromise one for the other. The press room, a place of tension. In the White House press room, the environment is known for its intensity. The press secretary is often the first line of defense when it comes to answering tough questions about the administration's policies, controversies, and public actions. For Leavitt, stepping into this space meant entering a battleground of words where each response could shape the narrative for the American public. The nature of press briefings means that the press secretary is constantly under the microscope, tasked with representing the president's views while also addressing concerns and criticisms from reporters. Leavitt, however, seemed unfazed by the contentious nature of the role. Her prayer, which lasted just a few moments before she entered the briefing room, appeared to help her maintain focus and composure in the face of these challenges. While her prayer was a public act, it also reflected a much broader shift in the political landscape where faith is beginning to play a more prominent role in the public sphere. In recent years, many figures have openly expressed their religious beliefs, with some choosing to invoke their faith in the face of adversity. Leavitt's public expression of faith can be seen as part of this broader trend of bringing personal values into the political arena. In fact, the importance of faith to many conservative politicians has become a defining characteristic of their political identities. From Donald Trump's own rhetoric about God and country to the growing influence of evangelical Christians in American politics, religion continues to play a significant role in shaping political discourse. For Leavitt, her prayer represented more than just a personal act of devotion. It was a statement about the values that guided her in her work. "I believe that faith makes us stronger," she said in a public statement. "It gives me the clarity and the courage to do what's right, even when the stakes are high." Moving forward, as Leavitt continues her tenure as press secretary, it's clear that her faith will remain an integral part of her work. Her ability to balance her personal convictions with the demands of her role could serve as a model for future political figures looking to navigate the pressures of public office while staying true to their beliefs. Leavitt's actions, her decision to pray before facing the media, represent a moment of authenticity that has the potential to change the way we view political figures in America. By showing vulnerability and expressing her faith, she has offered a new perspective on what it means to be a public servant in today's political climate. Her story is not just about her rise to the highest levels of political communication, it's also about how a young woman in a high-profile role can use her faith to bring a sense of balance and perspective to the often chaotic world of American politics. As Karoline Leavitt faced increasing pressure in her new role as White House press secretary, her unique approach to crisis management began to draw attention. Known for her straightforward answers and unwavering composure, Leavitt's faith-based leadership style became a cornerstone of her tenure. While many may have seen her prayers before media briefings as a moment of personal reflection, they also served as an effective leadership tool, one that offered calm in the midst of political storms and provided a model for others in high-pressure environments. A calm amidst the storm. The White House press secretary often finds themselves in the eye of the storm when it comes to political crises. Leavitt's role as the spokesperson for the Trump administration meant that she was thrust into some of the most contentious political debates in recent history. From navigating questions about the administration's foreign policy decisions to handling domestic challenges, the pressure on Leavitt was immense. Yet, despite the chaos around her, Leavitt's personal faith appeared to ground her and gave her the strength to stay composed. In interviews, Leavitt shared that before stepping into the press briefing room, she often reflected on the larger purpose of her work and the values that guided her. "When you're facing reporters asking tough questions, it's easy to get swept up in the moment," she said in a candid conversation with the New York Times. "But I've found that taking a moment to center myself in prayer helps me focus on what's truly important." The press briefing room, an arena where political battles are often waged, became a place where Leavitt's faith gave her the clarity to make difficult decisions under pressure. She didn't just rely on her political instincts, she turned to her spirituality, which she believed allowed her to lead with integrity and humility. Faith in leadership, a modern approach. Leavitt's faith-driven leadership approach has been described as a refreshing break from the typical political strategies employed in Washington. In a world where public figures are often expected to be detached, calculating, and pragmatic, Leavitt's willingness to show vulnerability and place her trust in a higher power set her apart from her peers. Her reliance on faith for strength in the face of adversity was not just about her personal journey, it became a public display of leadership that many people admired. Leadership experts have pointed out that showing vulnerability in leadership is often a sign of strength rather than weakness. In times of crisis, leaders who show humility and rely on their core values tend to inspire greater trust and loyalty from their teams, said Dr. Linda Bryant, a leadership consultant and professor at Harvard Business School. Karoline Leavitt's willingness to pray in front of her colleagues and the media is a powerful example of that. It humanizes her, and it allows people to see her as more than just a politician. Leavitt's style has not only been impactful within the White House but also resonated with the broader American public, particularly those who place faith at the center of their lives. It was a reminder to many that, in a world filled with partisan division and intense scrutiny, personal conviction could still play a central role in leadership. The power of prayer in the workplace. In a recent interview with CNN, Leavitt reflected on the role of prayer in her workplace. "I believe prayer gives me the ability to stay calm and focused when things get overwhelming. It's not about avoiding tough situations, but about being able to face them with a steady heart and mind," she explained. "In the press room, when I'm facing questions that challenge my position or my beliefs, prayer helps me stay grounded." Leavitt's belief in the power of prayer before facing the press has become an integral part of her daily routine. In her office, a small prayer card hangs on her desk, a constant reminder of the strength she draws from her faith. It's not something that she advertises to the public, but it's a personal practice that has shaped her approach to the job. In many ways, Leavitt's faith-based approach mirrors a broader trend in the workplace where employees are increasingly encouraged to bring their whole selves to work. Companies and organizations that embrace this mentality recognize the importance of mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being in fostering a productive and supportive environment. Leavitt's openness about her religious beliefs challenges the notion that personal faith should be left at the door in a professional setting. A controversial shift in the White House. Leavitt's rise as press secretary also marked a broader shift in the White House's communication strategy. The Trump administration's often combative relationship with the media was well documented, but Leavitt's handling of the press took a different approach. Rather than fueling the fire with sharp retorts or inflammatory rhetoric, Leavitt sought to bridge the gap by offering calm, reasoned answers often rooted in her faith and personal values. Her prayer before briefings became symbolic of this shift. Where once press secretaries relied heavily on political gamesmanship and media spin, Leavitt's focus was on communication grounded in authenticity. Even when pressed with difficult questions or confronted with hostile reporters, Leavitt maintained a level-headed demeanor, answering questions with a sense of conviction that came from her deep personal beliefs. Managing personal attacks. Being a political figure is not without its challenges, and for Karoline Leavitt, the personal attacks that came with her new role were a heavy burden. As one of the youngest press secretaries in history and a woman of strong religious convictions, she became a target for critics who were not shy about questioning her competency and character. Yet, even in the face of personal attacks, Leavitt remained unfazed. She drew strength from her faith, which she believed not only helped her maintain her composure but also gave her the courage to stand firm in her beliefs. She often turned to Scripture for guidance during moments of personal doubt. I am reminded of the verse from Philippians 4 verse 13, "I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me." For me, this is more than just a verse, it's a guiding principle that shapes everything I do, Leavitt remarked in an interview with Fox News. Her response to personal criticism was often rooted in a sense of grace, allowing her to rise above the negativity and focus on her work. By embracing her faith and leaning on the support of her family, friends, and colleagues, Leavitt demonstrated the resilience needed to handle the pressures of her position. The future of faith in politics. Looking forward, many are curious about the future of faith in politics, particularly in roles as visible as that of White House press secretary. Leavitt's public expression of faith has prompted discussions about the role of spirituality in political life. While some believe that faith should remain a private matter, others see Leavitt's approach as a necessary return to authenticity in an increasingly polarized world. Leavitt herself has stated that she hopes her example will inspire others to embrace their own values and beliefs. "I want people to know that it's okay to be yourself," she said in one of her interviews. "It's okay to let your faith guide you, even in the most challenging of situations. That's what I try to do every day." In a profession where integrity is often questioned, Karoline Leavitt's ability to merge faith with politics may just pave the way for a new generation of leaders who prioritize authenticity and moral conviction. Her example of leadership grounded in both faith and resilience offers a model for the future of American politics. As Karoline Leavitt's time in the White House continued, her role as press secretary became an even more visible platform for her to merge her faith with her duties. The White House press briefing room, a place historically associated with combative exchanges, tough questioning, and political theater, was transformed under Leavitt's leadership into a space where transparency, humility, and faith could coexist. Transforming a polarized space. The press briefing room is often seen as a battlefield with reporters and the press secretary locked in a verbal sparring match. Each question posed to the press secretary can shape public perception with stakes that are higher than they often appear. However, under Leavitt's tenure, this intense environment seemed to shift slightly. Her unflinching confidence, coupled with her frequent recourse to prayer, softened the tenor of many exchanges. Leavitt's presence in the briefing room wasn't about diminishing the importance of tough questions or ignoring the political nature of the role. Rather, it was about changing the nature of the dialogue. "It's not just about fighting back against every attack," she told Politico in an interview. "It's about being calm, being grounded, and making sure that people know they're being heard. Sometimes the best way to do that is to show people who you are, not just the political talking points." As a result, the press room's energy began to shift. Reporters, some of whom had been critical of her faith-based approach, started to notice a different kind of press secretary, one who did not shy away from tough questions but also embraced the challenge with a sense of grace and integrity that made her stand out. Even when the questions grew more pointed, Leavitt responded with measured poise, and reporters could sense that she was more than just a political spokesperson. She was someone who genuinely believed in the power of her words and the message she was conveying. The crossroads of faith and politics. Leavitt's position as press secretary made her a symbol of the intersection between faith and politics. While faith has always played a role in the lives of many public figures, the modern political climate has often demanded a more secular approach to governance. In recent decades, public displays of religious conviction have been met with suspicion in many quarters of the political world. Leavitt, however, rejected the notion that faith should be relegated to the private sphere. "My faith is who I am," she remarked during one of her press conferences. "It's not something I compartmentalize when I walk into the White House. It's a part of everything I do. And I think it's important for people to see that." Her statement underscored the reality that for Leavitt, faith wasn't just a private matter but an essential part of her identity that shaped her work in public life. Critics who accused her of mixing religion with politics were countered by supporters who saw her as a model of integrity, someone who believed in doing the right thing, regardless of the political ramifications. At a time when American politics is deeply divided, Leavitt's approach offers a glimmer of hope for those who believe in the potential for personal values to influence public service in a positive way. "I'm a servant of the American people, and I believe my faith gives me the strength to serve them with honesty and accountability," Leavitt explained during a televised interview. Her prayer before the press conference, a ritual of grounding. Leavitt's prayer before the press conference became almost as iconic as her briefings themselves. While some saw it as an expression of personal faith, others viewed it as a tactical move to calm her nerves and prepare herself for the task at hand. Regardless of the interpretation, the prayer ritual helped Leavitt stay grounded in the midst of the intense scrutiny that came with her high-profile role. When asked about the importance of this ritual, Leavitt explained that it wasn't just about seeking divine intervention but rather about reaffirming her purpose and strength. "Before I face the press, I have to remind myself of why I'm here," she shared. "I'm here to serve the American people, and I'm here to tell the truth. Sometimes when the questions come fast and furious, it's easy to get distracted. But prayer helps me focus on what really matters." Many in Washington were quick to point out that Leavitt's ability to remain calm, composed, and unwavering in her responses wasn't simply due to her political savvy. It was also the result of her faith, which acted as an anchor during the storm. In an era where political figures often seemed disconnected from the average American, Leavitt's vulnerability and authenticity struck a chord with people across the country. A role model for faith in the public sphere. Leavitt's public displays of faith set her apart in a political landscape that often shies away from open expressions of religious belief. Her example provided a refreshing reminder that public figures could embody their values without compromising their integrity or political efficacy. It was an example of how faith, when embraced openly and honestly, could serve as a source of strength in the face of adversity. Her role in the White House highlighted the importance of personal conviction in leadership. In a time when political figures are often criticized for lacking authenticity, Leavitt's consistent display of personal values reminded people of the importance of standing firm in their beliefs even when faced with tremendous pressure. Her statement underscored the reality that for Leavitt, faith wasn't just a private matter but an essential part of her identity that shaped her work in public life. Critics who accused her of mixing religion with politics were countered by supporters who saw her as a model of integrity, someone who believed in doing the right thing, regardless of the political ramifications. At a time when American politics is deeply divided, Leavitt's approach offers a glimmer of hope for those who believe in the potential for personal values to influence public service in a positive way. "I'm a servant of the American people, and I believe my faith gives me the strength to serve them with honesty and accountability," Leavitt explained during a televised interview. Her prayer before the press conference, a ritual of grounding. Leavitt's prayer before the press conference became almost as iconic as her briefings themselves. While some saw it as an expression of personal faith, others viewed it as a tactical move to calm her nerves and prepare herself for the task at hand. Regardless of the interpretation, the prayer ritual helped Leavitt stay grounded in the midst of the intense scrutiny that came with her high-profile role. When asked about the importance of this ritual, Leavitt explained that it wasn't just about seeking divine intervention but rather about reaffirming her purpose and strength. "Before I face the press, I have to remind myself of why I'm here," she shared. "I'm here to serve the American people, and I'm here to tell the truth. Sometimes when the questions come fast and furious, it's easy to get distracted. But prayer helps me focus on what really matters. Many in Washington were quick to point out that Leavitt's ability to remain calm, composed, and unwavering in her responses wasn't simply due to her political savvy. It was also the result of her faith, which acted as an anchor during the storm. In an era where political figures often seemed disconnected from the average American, Leavitt's vulnerability and authenticity struck a chord with people across the country. A role model for faith in the public sphere. Leavitt's public displays of faith set her apart in a political landscape that often shies away from open expressions of religious belief. Her example provided a refreshing reminder that public figures could embody their values without compromising their integrity or political efficacy. It was an example of how faith, when embraced openly and honestly, could serve as a source of strength in the face of adversity. Her role in the White House highlighted the importance of personal conviction in leadership. In a time when political figures are often criticized for lacking authenticity, Leavitt's consistent display of personal values reminded people of the importance of standing firm in their beliefs even when faced with tremendous pressure. Her prayers, though private moments, became an outward expression of her inner strength. They gave the American public a glimpse into the woman behind the press secretary podium, a woman who faced each day with the confidence of knowing that her faith would guide her through any challenge. The impact on public perception. Leavitt's prayer practice didn't just have an impact on her colleagues or her political peers, it reverberated throughout the American public. While some were critical of her blending of personal faith and political duty, many saw it as an act of courage and authenticity. In the world of political communication, where public figures are often advised to keep personal matters out of the spotlight, Leavitt's decision to openly embrace her faith was both brave and refreshing. In a country where religion has long been a powerful force in shaping both personal and public life, Leavitt's openness about her faith allowed many Americans to see a new dimension of the political process. For some, it was an opportunity to relate to a figure in power who was unapologetically grounded in her spiritual beliefs. For others, it was a reminder of the power of faith to provide strength, clarity, and purpose in even the most chaotic of circumstances. Leavitt's example has since inspired many young professionals, particularly women, who aspire to break into the political sphere. Her leadership, shaped by both faith and conviction, shows that it's possible to succeed in a high-pressure environment without sacrificing one's core beliefs. As Karoline Leavitt's time as White House press secretary continued, her unique blend of personal faith and political acumen left a lasting impression on American political culture. Over time, the story of her prayers before the press briefings evolved from a simple personal ritual into a symbol of perseverance, integrity, and leadership for many across the nation. A new kind of political leadership. Leavitt's tenure marked a pivotal moment in the ongoing debate about the role of faith in public service. She redefined what it meant to be both a political figure and a person of deep religious conviction. Traditionally, American politics has witnessed religious figures in office, but rarely has someone been so open about incorporating faith into their daily routine. Leavitt was unapologetic in expressing her beliefs, and as a result, she offered a new model for leadership. Her approach to public service suggested that it was possible to bring one's full, authentic self to a high-profile role, even when doing so might invite criticism. By incorporating prayer into her routine, she reminded the American people that leadership didn't have to be devoid of personal values. On the contrary, her example showed that a sense of purpose rooted in faith could empower individuals to lead with compassion and conviction. Her press briefings, marked by her poised responses, her unshakable faith, and her humility, became a testament to the power of authenticity. Leavitt demonstrated that it was possible to take on the most difficult challenges, to face constant scrutiny, and to endure sharp criticism while maintaining integrity and grace. The cultural shift. In many ways, Leavitt's prayers before each press conference helped shift the culture of American politics. As the nation's political landscape became more divided and contentious, her spiritual grounding offered a counterbalance to the vitriol that often dominated public discourse. While many political figures relied on sharp rhetoric and strategic maneuvering, Leavitt chose to counter the chaos with calmness, strength, and faith. Her example encouraged people to look beyond the partisan divides and recognize that leadership could be about more than just winning debates or scoring political points. It could also be about standing firm in one's beliefs, treating others with respect, and maintaining a sense of dignity in the face of adversity. Leavitt's style of leadership resonated with a wide range of Americans, particularly those who longed for more transparency and honesty in politics. It wasn't just her political strategies or her ability to answer tough questions that captivated people. It was her unwavering commitment to being open about her faith and her desire to serve the country with sincerity. The power of faith in challenging times. In the years following Leavitt's tenure, many Americans continued to reflect on the significance of her role as press secretary. Her story wasn't just about political strategy, it was about personal resilience and the way in which faith could serve as a source of strength during some of the most trying moments of her career. For those who had been critical of her religious beliefs, the results spoke for themselves. Despite facing difficult questions from the media, Leavitt remained consistent and composed, something that was widely recognized as a product of her faith. While critics may have questioned her use of prayer before each briefing, many supporters saw it as a testament to her character. The ritual wasn't just about seeking divine help, it was about grounding herself in her faith and preparing herself mentally and emotionally for the challenges ahead. Her prayers gave her the strength to remain calm in the face of chaos, the ability to stay focused when surrounded by distractions, and the courage to stand firm in her convictions no matter how difficult the circumstances became. Leavitt's example showed that even in the most high-pressure political roles, personal strength fueled by faith could guide decision-making and elevate the quality of leadership. The legacy, a political figure with purpose. Leavitt's journey as press secretary became a powerful reminder that faith has a place in public life, whether or not it is acknowledged by all. Her time in the White House will undoubtedly be remembered as a defining chapter in the evolution of political communication in America. She became a symbol for those who wanted to see more authenticity in their leaders. As one of the youngest press secretaries in recent history, Leavitt's combination of youth, faith, and poise was groundbreaking. Her unique ability to balance the political demands of the job with her personal spiritual convictions set her apart in a way that few others could replicate. As the years passed and Leavitt's role in American politics faded into the background, her impact continued to resonate. Her legacy wasn't just about her tenure as press secretary, it was about the broader message she conveyed, that faith could be an anchor in turbulent times and that one could stand firm in their beliefs while navigating the complexities of public service. Her prayers weren't just private moments, they were a declaration of her values and an invitation for others to reflect on how faith could play a meaningful role in their own lives. Inspiring future generations. Leavitt's story would go on to inspire future generations of political leaders, particularly those who felt they had to choose between their faith and their public duties. She proved that one's beliefs need not be hidden away or compartmentalized in order to succeed in politics. In fact, embracing one's faith openly and without apology could become a powerful tool for leadership. Her leadership style became a template for how to handle tough situations with grace, humility, and authenticity. Whether or not the world agreed with her specific beliefs, they respected her ability to bring those beliefs into the workplace and make them a part of the public discourse. Closing thoughts. Karoline Leavitt's legacy as White House press secretary offers a glimpse into how faith and politics can intersect in a way that strengthens rather than divides. Her journey proved that it is possible to maintain personal integrity while navigating the harsh realities of political life. Her decision to pray before facing reporters wasn't just an act of religious observance, it was a statement of who she was as a person and a public servant. For many, Leavitt's example will continue to serve as a beacon of hope, reminding us all that we can lead with authenticity, compassion, and faith no matter the circumstances. It's a reminder that leadership is about more than just power, it's about staying true to one's values and doing what is right even when the world is watching. Her story, though just one chapter in the broader narrative of American politics, remains a testament to the enduring power of faith and to the profound impact it can have in shaping both the leader and the nation.